one of the very few critiques, I guess, of The Sopranos and it's happening more now as this society, woke, whatever you want to call it, looks back in a retrospective and they say the big problem with The Sopranos is in the female characters. David Chase wrote them to either be a nag or a whore. Every character is either a nag or a whore.
Who said this?
Some internet idiot, I think it was Huffington Post, if I can remember it.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's the critique looking back.
But every guy's a piece of shit too.
Well,
you know what I mean? Like everyone's flawed.
True.
Everybody's flawed. I mean, you're right, not a piece of shit, but like I said, I think like we one time talked about if you could pick out like a good guy. Gerard asked me, is there a good guy on Sopranos? And I would say Bobby Bacala was a pretty good guy. Yes,
a murderer.
Yes, he's a killer. Yeah, yes, he's he killed one guy, just one.
Oh my God! You get a pass.
You get a pass.
Just one. Hey, everybody gets one.
I think Tony was the best guy on the show. The best guy.
Really?
Dude, my dad. That's what my dad.
Tony was the best guy, and the show was genius because of Lorraine Bracco, and Tony, and because of everybody else. But to me, Lorraine Bracco and Tony are what made the show different. Because if it wasn't for Lorraine Bracco and Tony's sessions to tell the world his problems, and now you see a three-dimensional character.
Sure.
You realize it all comes from his childhood and his mother and father, and he's a victim of circumstance and a victim of his community and what they did and how they grew up, and he had no choice. You start understanding him through these therapy sessions, and that's where you fall in love with him, in the therapy sessions, not really with everybody else. You fall in love with him in that room because you start to understand him and you start to have sympathy for him. You start to understand where it all comes from. That show was very, very, very deep, the psychology.
Yeah,
for
and
sure.
To me, I think he was the most kindest, loyal. He was the loyal, kind, trying to please everybody, trying to wear 50 different hats, be a father, be a husband, be a son, be a loyal friend. He was always juggling. And then
But he robbed and he murdered.
He
Right.
robbed
And he cheated.
murdered,
And he cheated. Significantly.
But you kind of understood. You kind of understood it. And that's why he was likable.
So I always found, obviously you root for Tony. Tony's he's the best. But I found his rationale in the therapist's office as like he was like almost like sociopathic. Like he was justifying things. He was acting. He was like, oh, I'm this sad clown.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, he's doing a bunch of bad shit, and especially in one of the last seasons where he's taking the asbestos and it's having it dumped in a lake.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like he's poisoning his
whole
the world,
community.
the whole,
Right.
the everything.
Right.
You know what I mean? He's quick to looking at the neighborhood. I think he's very contradictory. Like he's looking at the neighborhood like this is the Fifth Ward, blah blah blah, and then quickly like sell the egg place. Yeah, make it a Jamba Juice. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like that's why I stick with. I thought Bobby was the best guy in the show. Like I thought, he didn't cheat. He was loyal to his woman. He was gentle. He was like a nice guy.
Big teddy bear.
A big teddy bear. Yeah, I found him to be the
But
most
he only
redeemable.
killed one person.
Just
Only
one.
one.
Just
Everybody
one.
gets one.
And Tony made him do that because
Tony made him.
he was pissed at him for beating him up.
Yep. Yeah.
He made him kill that guy.
I feel like there were times you wanted to see Tony be Tony, like when Lorraine Bracco got raped.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Everybody, like I remember being so disappointed that, like, if it's real life, that she didn't tell him.
Yeah.
Because you wanted to see, because you felt like he would have protected, like that was the part of him that if he killed that guy, you would have been like, oh my God,
But
he's our hero.
It upheld her
It would have
integrity.
put him up
right.
high, but it held her integrity as a licensed
Yes.
No doubt about it.
counselor. But
Yeah.
you could tell.
It fortified
yeah.
her, like, her integrity, her
Yeah.
stand-upness.
David Chase had to take a lot of real life input into his writing and into the writer's room, because I remember in the conversation I had on the PBD podcast with Sammy Gravano, he was talking about, people in Queens love John Gotti, they would come up and he'd bring the ice cream truck around for the kids, and people would be like, very, very, there would be like a gratitude towards Gotti, and then Gravano would be like rolling his eyes, going, "This guy sells heroin to your kids. Like, what are you talking? Like, why? Because he brings around ice cream once in a while. He throws a fair. He's a good guy. Like, this guy's destroying countless families in this block." And then that was his thing. And been like, man, the opinions of these people don't matter. These people are nuts.
Yeah, it's like the drug cartel leaders. Like some of them, oh my God, they give back to their community. Meanwhile, they're murdering everybody, feeding, the glorification of guys like that in power.
No doubt about it. And I think that there's something to be said, like, for all of us in our society, we really gravitate towards the powerful. And no matter whether or not we might like hand wring about how they became powerful, but at the end of the day, there's like a respect. There's like he made his own rules, did what he had to do. And she made her own rules, did what they had to do. It's only until that person then loses the power that then you see the cavalcade of like, everybody coming down on what a horrible person that person was. Yeah, now that they're not powerful.
Right, now that they're murdered. Yeah.
Yeah, you feel pretty bold now that I don't know. There's something in the psychology of us as humans where we just we kind of gravitate towards that outlaw a little bit, I think. I don't know.
Of course, everybody loved Tony Montana, right?
Yeah. But it wasn't always that way. Like the original hero in motion pictures was, the upstanding citizen. It was the It's a Wonderful Life guy. It's like, oh, George.
I've noticed I tend to root for a lot of times, not always, but I tend to root for the bad guys in a lot of movies.
Bad guys get the best lines.
You guys take Heat for instance. Mm-hmm. Heat, you have Al Pacino playing what was his name, Hannah, or something like that. He's the on the side of the law. Yep. And then you have De Niro and the crew are the bank robbers. Yep. I'm 100% rooting for the crew. Right, and it might just be because there's more of them that we're kind of indoctrinated to, and we start to like them. But there's so even if I'm watching Cops, I'm kind of rooting for the bad guy.
Well, who roots for the system?
Because I can't I could be in the position of the guy getting pulled over. Yeah. But I'm not a police officer, so I can't really put myself in the cop's shoes where I'm like, well, how much you have to drink here? So, you know what I mean? Yeah.
I think it depends too on the perspective of what you're looking at. For a bad boy to have a little bit of charm or charisma or look, for me, give me the Titanic, give me Billy Zane over Leonardo DiCaprio any day. And he was I was like, oh, yeah. Why can't she love Billy Zane? That was zero. That was probably not the majority of anybody's perspective watching Titanic. But you give somebody what they like. I like dark hair. I like dark eyes. I like this.
Yeah, it's like in The Notebook. The rich guy did nothing wrong.
Right.
The rich guy did literally nothing wrong in The Notebook whatsoever. And it's I watched The Notebook and I'm like, this is the dumbest movie I've ever seen in my life. This is the single stupidest movie.
Well, I think it's too about that chemical connection and just knowing when somebody's supposed to be right for you. I think that's the more of the. But but you thought the rich and he was good looking, right? He was
did nothing wrong.
Yeah, he was a good looking.
It did nothing. Okay, whatever, leave. I don't care. Yeah. Oh, great. Now you got a girl with Alzheimer's. How'd it work out for you, buddy?
Well, that was a little harsh.
Jesus.
Fuck Matt Rife. All right, so.
And that's a callback.